Hey there, I just wanted to make a quick video real quick talking about Minoxidil 10%. And I also wanted to tell people why they should stay on their journey for at least 2 years, 2 to 3 years. So real quick, when I first started, I started on foam for my first 3 months. I didn't put that in my video, but I did start off with foam my first 3 months. Everything after that had been liquid, even the 10%. I use liquid. I jumped on 10% on my 11th or 12th month, something like that, and I have been using it ever since. Um, and to be honest, that is what allowed me to grow a beard. Because when I had been on 5% for about a year, I had pretty much stayed at a point where I just had vellus hairs, and I felt like I had plateaued because I got a lot of small vellus hairs in these areas that I could never grow hair, but they weren't thickening, they weren't growing anymore. Just for months, it just didn't go anywhere. And then as soon as I hopped on 10%, bam, 3 months later, I got a full beard, and my gains have been just growing ever since. So it may have been better for me to just start at 10% sooner, but I really didn't know too much about it. I really didn't know too much about minoxidil at that point. Um, so I wasn't sure, but I started kept I stayed with the 5% as long as I could, and I just was just looking for any kind of information to help me to get more gains. And I ran into people talking about 10%. I didn't even know it existed at that point when I first started researching minoxidil. But eventually I ran into people who had been using 10%, and I knew one YouTuber that I was looking at. He used 12%, which I probably wouldn't go that far, but 10% is good enough for me. And plus, it's really expensive. I believe when I first started using 10%, they were about $15 a bottle, something like that. And that's expensive because 6 months of 5% is about $20 at Walmart. So the 10% is pretty expensive. It comes from India, the brand that I use. If you've never heard of it, I use two gain 10%. And for 5%, I use the Kirkland brand. Um, and the 10%, it comes from India. Every time I bought it, it's been shipped from India. I don't know if they even sell it or make it anywhere else, but that's where I've gotten it from. And nowadays, since the pandemic hit, it's about $30 a bottle. Like no joke. I bought 4 months, 4 months of two gain 10% for $120. Plus shipping. So yes, it's very expensive. It wasn't that expensive at first. My first three bottles I bought, it was about $50 for 3 bottles. Now it's almost triple that. So if you're going to use 10%, just know that it's very expensive. It's worth it, yes. But maybe you should buy one bottle and see if it works for you, because I have heard of people using 10% and it not working for them. I think that's rare because most people that I've seen use minoxidil, it works for them, but there are some individuals where 5% doesn't work for them and the 10% doesn't work for them as well. Hopefully you're not one of those, but I would say buy about 2 months of it. Use it, do what I did, use 5% at night. 5% in the morning and 10% at night, and see how it works for you. If it does work for you, then you'll be just like me 3 months later. Bam, you're just gonna have a beard. But I had already been using it for 5% for almost a year, so maybe that helped it. I'm not sure. Just all I would say is just continue to be patient. Just make sure you stay with the journey for some time. Don't expect that you're just gonna have a beard in 6, 7 months. Because for me, it took about 13 months, 12, 13 months. And about 14 months is where I really was like, man, wow, this it looked different. It felt different, to walk around and actually have something people could actually look at. Because before that, I just, you know, I was struggling in the beard area. But um, the reason why you want to continue your journey and stay on it for at least 2 to 3 years is because even though you may have a full beard, you want to make sure that everything is terminal. And I know a lot of people, put that in their video, but it's so important because I remember when I first started growing my beard initially, it wasn't as the hairs weren't as strong, they weren't as dense. The hairs weren't as thick as they are now. My hairs have thickened. They've become terminal to the point where um, your regular Andis outliners don't work for me anymore. When I first started growing my beard, whenever I would completely, remove a hair from my face, I would use clippers, but that doesn't work anymore. I have to use a straight razor or a razor or something because the hairs are really strong and they're really thick now. And that came with time. It wasn't like that initially. Had I, like, let's say at month 16 when I saw a full beard, I just jumped off. Then the gains probably would have disappeared because my hairs weren't as strong back then. They didn't seem as permanent as they do now. Now when I shave, I get that, you know, rough sandpaper feel where, if you, for those who know, you shave and if you rub your face, it hurts. You get that, like, really sandpaper feel, and I didn't get that initially. I still, when I shaved, back then when I would shave, it still felt like a baby face, but now, that's not the case anymore, and that came with time. So you have to stay on your journey for at least 2 to 3 years. I know that's a long time, but do you want to waste a year and a half and then get off of it and your gains disappear, and then you have to get back on Monox, or you pretty much wasted time at that point? So why not just stay on it for 3 years? Stay on it for 2 or 3 years to make sure it's all solid, everything's good, and that everything's permanent, and you don't, and your density will improve, your maybe your growth rate will improve, something, your things will improve. I did notice that my hair does grow a little bit higher than it did initially. Another thing I noticed is I was always able to grow hair around my goatee and mustache area. um, but when I started growing my beard around month 14, you what I noticed was the places where I already had hair, it would grow quicker than these areas because these are the places where I had never had hair. But now everything grows uniform. Right now, this is about a month of growth for me, and everything is uniform. Everything grows at the same rate now, but it wasn't like that at first. The places where I already had hair, it would grow quicker than than here, and under my neck. Also, under my neck, this area would grow so slow in the beginning. Like I would have hair everywhere, and then here it would be very sparse. It would pretty much be big patches of bald under here. Now that's not the case anymore. It looks pretty much full, even though I'm a little bit longer than stubble right now. Um, I do feel like my hair grows slow, like at a month. 4 to 5 weeks, like is what I'm at right now. But a lot of people can grow longer beards, but my hair just grows slow. Like it just grows slow. And that's okay. But everything's starting to grow uniform. Even the hair under here, I cut that off too. This used to grow really slow too, but now you see at a month now it's already just about, you know it's more than seeable. But it's the hairs are just, my beard has just been improving. This whole time I've been on Minox, even though I could grow a beard almost 2 years ago. So stay on your journeys. Don't just get off of it. You don't want to lose time wasted, this whole time that you've been on this journey. So, stay on it. Um, I do want to give you a heads up on the 10%. The whiteness that you get from that 5% is nothing compared to the 10%. Like you will wake up and you will look like you have, crack cocaine in your beard or something. Like for real. It is really white. Um, also, the headaches that I got from it was really, man, I'm talking about instantly. I would put that stuff on and it would really have my head just like, it would have my head banging like instantly. I would put it on. I would say I would put it on around like maybe 8 o'clock at night. Around 8:10, bro, I had a headache, and that's when I realized I had to step down to once per day. That was good for me because it allowed the 10% to last longer. Um, I wasn't going through my 10% as fast, and it was already expensive, so I was like, good, good. It was still effective. It was still improving my beard, even though I was using it once per day. So I've used 5% in the morning, 10% at night. And the reason why you want to do that is that 10%, you can't walk around all day with that. You can't put it on during the day because if you do, you're just gonna have the whitest face. And even if you put oil over it, that doesn't work. The only way to really use 10% a day is if you if you were to use it before work or something for 4 hours before work, and then you wash it out and then put the oil on, that's the only way I would could say that you could use 10% in that day. Because otherwise, if you put it on like before work and you leave it on 4 hours while you're at work, trust me, your face is gonna be, people gonna be like, yo, what's going on with your face, bro? You gonna be like, what? You gonna go and look in the mirror, bro? It's gonna be white, cocaine all up in your beard, bro, and that shit don't look nice, bro. So it's doable with the 5%, because even right now I have 5% on right now. But I did put a little oil over it, so um, the oil does help with the 5%. You can kind of mask a little bit of the whiteness with the with some oil, but only with the 5%. You can't put oil over 10%. The 10% is just too thick. It is really thick. I'm telling you, it's really thick. Um, so be careful with that 10%. There is a good chance that you might have stronger side effects with that 10%. So just use once per day. That'll lower your side effects as well. If you get bumps, if you get headaches, if you have any kind of issues with the heart, or that I've seen people, I had no side effects at all with the 10%, other than just headaches, and that didn't occur initially. It took about 2-3 months, and then I started to notice the headaches. So, but I just decided to go down to once per day with the 10%, and that was enough to make the headaches go away, and that was good for me, because it was still very effective, because I think I saw videos where minoxidil was actually in your, once you apply it, it's in your blood for 19 hours. Um, so it's even two once a day is enough. But I still would apply twice a day, just to be sure. Even if it's 5 hours of downtime, I still would rather have it on twice a day and have the minoxidil doing this thing 24/7. Um, what else? Is there anything else that I wanted to talk about? As far as my routine, I use anything at this point. I use any kind of oils. Right now, I'm using this oil right here. It's Vatika or something like that. It was my mom's oil. I take it from her anyway. And, I use anything at this point. I know when I first started, I did pay attention to DHT blockers, but at this point, I don't. I just use whatever, any kind of oil. I'll put, if it's just for hair, I'll put it in my beard. If it doesn't even have to be beard specific, I just put it in my beard. Oil is oil to me at this point. I don't pay attention to DHT blockers anymore. But when I first started, I did only use Jamaican black castor oil. I didn't use it a lot, because um, around the time when I was starting to see most of my gains, and I was really doing my journey, doing most of the time doing my journey, we were in the pandemic. So I was able to just leave. I usually just literally leave it on for 12 hours. I would put the 5% on, leave it on for 5 hours, and I wouldn't even wash it out. I would leave it in. That was my routine for pretty much like 80% of my journey. 80% of the time that I've been on Minox, I will put the 5% on, leave it on for 12 hours. Only time I washed it out was when to put on my next, my next application of, the 5%. So I would, wake up, it's about 7 o'clock. I put 5% on, wash it out about 6:30, and put it on again. And that's pretty much what I did. And only time I ever put oil over it is when I was going out. Um, if I wasn't going out, then I would literally just let it hang. I'll just let the 5% sit in there, and just if it looked dry, whatever. Um, so yeah. Is there anything else? Is there anything else? Hmm. Um. All I can really say is just be patient. Consistency is really important. I don't think biotin is necessary. I don't think derma rolling is necessary. I did all that stuff. That stuff didn't work for me. I really feel like derma rolling is a gimmick. It might work, but I don't think it works specifically for beard growth, in my opinion. It didn't work for me. Maybe I didn't use it long enough. That could be, because I only used it for about a month and a half. Most of my gains came around month, you know, 12, 13, and 14. And I had already stopped derma rolling 8 months before that. So, you know, I didn't use biotin. I didn't use no creatine. I didn't use none of that extra stuff that people use. I literally couldn't grow a beard with 5%. I used 10%, and 2, 3 months later, I had a full beard. So The 5% obviously wasn't enough to grow me a beard. The 10% was. I started using the 10% consistently every day. Through this 3 years, I probably missed probably less than 5 times. I probably missed a complete day. There had been some days where I only maybe applied once, but once I got on 10%, it was always 10% once a day, at least once a day. And and the consistency paid off. Now I have a full beard. It's more denser. It's stronger. Um, I was even considering if I can find more 10% at a decent price. I'll actually go another year. You know, to just to be sure, because like I said, I don't want to lose gains and waste all the time that I put in. I don't want it to just go away. And so yeah, I'm just gonna stay on it as long as possible. And I would suggest, for anybody who's looking at this video, anybody who wants to get on minoxidil, if you get on it, just really stick with it. Like don't be impatient. Just be patient, stick with it, be consistent, and go at least 2.5 years. Like it won't hurt you, trust me. Even if you're only gonna do it once a day for like your last, maybe you can go your last year once a day, 5%. Like even if you're gonna do something like that, like I might just I might go my fourth year. My fourth year, I might just do nothing but 10%, no more 5%, just 10%, um, once a day for my last year, and then after that I'll be done. I'll probably go 4 years, see where I'm at, see if I can fill in some more areas, because this is starting to fill in. Trust me, it is. It's taking some time. Um, it has taken some time, but this is filling in right now. I just shaved about a month ago, so there are some really light hairs that are in here that you can't see, that they do grow a little bit long over a few months, but it does take time. Who knows? Maybe it might fill in. Who knows? We'll see. But I'll just show you my gains real quick, just to show you. Um, this is my left side, and this is my right side. And do not sleep on these areas. Trust me. Make sure you're applying the minoxidil in these areas, because these areas are very important. These are slept on areas. These are areas that if you don't put minoxidil, you'll have patches in the bottom corners of your beard. So make sure you're applying product there is very important. Um, so yeah, um, under neck area, and yeah, if you have any other questions, then please by all means ask. I'll try to give you my opinion. Um, but I also learned, like again, most of the information I learned from people who had already been on minoxidil before me. So I'm not the person to give people tips and tips that that I didn't educate myself on, or at least have experience with. I'm not just gonna tell you anything. I'm not a doctor, so if you're gonna be on my minox, just make sure you do your research. Make sure you know what you're doing. It's a relatively safe product to use. The worst that could happen is you get some minor side effects. You can hop off of it and you'll be okay. If you want to try 10% early, I don't know if I would suggest that, but you could. But be really careful with that 10%. I'm telling you, you will have um, because what minoxidil does is it forces blood into the areas that you're using the minox. So if you're using minox on your face, you're gonna get blood coming to your head, and I think that's why I was getting headaches. Like I was literally getting headaches instantly. So be careful with that 10%. It's really strong. You don't have to use it twice per day. You could, but hey, once you start seeing side effects, go down to once per day. Same thing with 5%. If you have 5%, you see side effects, just go down to once per day. See if that'll alleviate things. If it doesn't, you're good to go. Just use it once per day, and let your body adjust to it, and maybe you can go back up, in the future, and go back up to twice a day. So yeah, thanks for watching my video, and take care.